Welcome, everybody. I'm really excited to share some of our experiences from the World Parkinson's Congress. I have three women joining us who are first timers, and they're going to share what they learned, what they liked, what they didn't like, and we're gonna have a chance for you, everybody else out there, to ask questions and tell us about your experience if you went. So let's go to the next slide. I want to start with a video, very short video that I took. It's about a minute, I think, of Kim Kukulik, who lives in Southern California. And this was her first time going. So if we can get the video to work. Nope, no sound.
This is my first time at World Parkinson's Congress. It's been really exciting to see people who I've been following on Instagram, and I've seen them live and listening to them speak. I would say one of my favorite things since I've been here is, oh gosh, there's so many. Rock Steady Boxing had a good program. There's a couple of new apps that are out. There's some new devices. Yeah. And a gentleman from Carl from Beach Band is here. And there's just so many new things out there. And that's what I'm enjoying the most, is seeing all the new things.
Okay, great. Okay, I'm going to take this thing off. If anybody is having problems with being hot, this is the best fan ever. Anyway, Kim had a great time, as you can see. She was just all over the place, and it's just a lot of fun. It's like a giant party. And I'm going to start with, let's go to the next slide, because I think I've got everybody's names up there. Okay, Mary is not on, so we're going to start with Jennifer. And if you can tell us a little bit about your experience.
Okay, I don't know. I could fill this whole hour with just rambling. I had such an incredible week at WPC, totally unexpected. I'm from Connecticut, so traveling on my own. I did a little traveling earlier in the year with my best friend, and she handled everything. She was the mom of me, so I just kind of followed her along. But this is my first time traveling on my own, 10 years into the disease. I was really nervous that I would be able to figure out how ticketing work and how TSA and all of that. But I am so proud to say that I had such a on whole week. The whole week I felt incredible. I was worried about my meds and my timing and my sleep and my activity level. I was worried about all of that and the ups and the downs and how far away the hotel is. Like every detail in my head was, this is going to be hard. And when I got there, it was, I don't know if it was because I wasn't masking the whole time, or I just felt so comfortable and so energized and so fueled. The whole time I didn't feel off ever, which was such a gift in itself. To feel so incredible for so many days in a row was just, that is my huge takeaway, is that I expected to feel awful, and really I far exceeded feeling great the whole time. I had a lot of connections to meet up with there. You guys, I was in the art show. One of my art pieces was over there, and I did get somebody to buy it, which was really cool. I was with the APDA sometimes. I was with Rocksteady sometimes. It was kind of all over the place, just buzzing around and just talking with just people in the hallway. I got a random ovation at a comment that I made at one of the speaking events, and had some really impactful, meaningful, heartfelt conversations, just like in the hallway, or sitting next to somebody at lunch, or just everybody was just so willing to share and ask, and just very social is what I got from a lot of it. Quick connections, and it just kept filling my cup. which I also wasn't expecting. I had difficulty following along with a lot of the scientific stuff, and a lot of it was just so over my head, I couldn't even pay attention, if that makes sense. I
Mhm.
just kind of like, okay, I'm not going to get any of this. And I kind of checked out, which I'm not proud of, but it's what happened. And I don't know if I can ever improve on that. Cognitive ability is really something that I'm fighting for these days. But my energy level and my ability, my openness to talk to strangers. I'm a New England girl. We don't really keep everything out and open. So to be able to just share immediately with complete strangers was a new experience for me. I was interviewed in the early part of the week about just being at WPC. What are you thinking? And they used my interview and part of what I said in that interview as the voiceover for the closing ceremonies. And I was the final speaker of the closing ceremonies, which I had no idea that they were going to do. I was like, wow, that kind of sounds like my brother. But then I was like, oh, wait, that's me. I was such a stunning surprise. Just, I'm so in the volunteers, like I don't think I have a negative thing to say about the whole experience at all. There's just really incredible. My roommate was another young woman with young onset that I knew through social media, but to spend 24 hours with her to see her ups and downs and see what we had in common and what we didn't have in common was just filled. I wish I could go once a year. I just I if it weren't for you guys, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So I'm just
Well, we are
beyond grateful.
happy to have been able to bring you there. Um, Jennifer was one of 20 women who received scholarships to cover their registration. Um, it's interesting, there actually had 30 people who applied,
Wow.
and we approved, I think, of 29 of them.
Wow.
But when you apply in August, you don't know what's going to happen in May. And
Right.
we had a bunch of people who had to drop out for
Yeah.
various reasons, and it happens. It happened the
Yeah.
last time too. Um, so I wish I had more people there, but we had a lot of fun. Did you go to the dinner we had?
I didn't because it was scheduled during a time I'm on the APDA Voices of Parkinson's Council. So that night I had to be at a event for them and I
Yeah.
wore an incredible outfit and I talked to a lot of people there, but it was one of the main reasons why I was there. So I had to fulfill that
Yeah.
rather, it was more of a duty than a social event.
I understand. We had, we
There's so much
scheduled it
going
for
on.
Monday night because that was the night that there were a lot of things going on, but that was the
Yeah,
only night we could all get together.
right.
And,
Yeah,
but
that was one of the notes that I had that there's so much going on all at once. It was kind of difficult to be, there's so much that I wanted to do. And it was kind of like making my high school or my college classes work together. Like, okay, I'm going to be in that part of the building, until this time, and I'll be able to get to this one fast enough, and oh, lunch is going to be over here. So, it was just kind of a lot of everything that I wanted to do, and I wasn't able to split myself to be in more places than one.
yeah, okay. Well, thank you. All right, Karen. Karen Patterson was another scholarship recipient, and she and I spent a lot of time together because I had a table uh, where people could, I guess, just for Twitchy Woman, and she was working for Robert Cochran at whatever you call it now,
You found X.
Yes and X. It used to be Yes and Exercise, and we were our tables were right next to each other. But Karen, you go
Thank you.
ahead.
Just thank you so much for making it possible, because there's no way I would have been able to do that without your help. And it was just, I'm calling it the vacation of a lifetime. Because I've had a lot of denial in my, of my diagnosis between family members and other people. And to be there with 4,000 people that I didn't have to mask, I didn't have to fake it, I didn't have to put up a front. I was just, it was so awesome. I don't think I had a self-conscious moment the whole week, because I've come to know so many of you online in all these different groups for so long now. It was just like a hug here, a hug here. The only things that I regret is my knee was terrible. So the thing of, I wanted to do this and wanted to go here, but it wasn't just a conflict of scheduling, because that was a lot of people's complaint. It was, I couldn't move fast enough. Just like the picture of you put out there this morning of all of us. I almost got into that frame, but I couldn't move fast enough. I was behind the table and I didn't manage to get in any of the pictures of all of our groups. But just, there's so many connections that we could make there from, the Jimmy Choi, Ray Dorsey, Michael Oken. That was a big one for me to finally get to meet him, in person, and finding out that these big names are just people like us. They really care. They're really genuine. And from the scientific to the meet and greets to the policy, conversations. I'm like you, Jennifer. I don't understand a lot of what I'm seeing, but I can get enough feel from the type of people they are to, okay, this is good for us. And this, everybody was there, as a united front to do things and help us improve our quality of life. But you just really can get a feel for people when you get to meet them face to face versus in these Zoom rooms.
Yeah.
And it was so nice to really put the feel and the hugs and everything together all in one. The whole thing with connection is medicine, and we really got to connect on ways that I don't think in other, if we broke up into smaller groups and even in person, it would have been the same as 4,000 people. That was a lot of people to meet and greet.
Yes, there was. And you never knew who you were going to run into when.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, again, in other circumstances, I might have gotten overwhelmed. And I don't, again, the only thing I was overwhelmed by was my knee was making me mad. But other than that, it was the vacation of a lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody said to me, I think it was in Kyoto, this was 2 congresses ago, I ran into another blogger, and she says, it's so nice to see people in person, not just a head on a screen. And you feel like you know them. So, but one thing that didn't happen this year that happened last time, for some reason, they didn't put your organization on your badge, which they did the last time. So we had 40 women last time. We had 70 this time under our banner, but they did not, unless they wrote Twitchy Woman on it, nobody knew they were with us. Last time, people were going up to everybody who was wearing a Twitchy Woman badge. They were all getting this, "You're Twitchy Woman, you're famous." And they go, "No, it's not me." It was pretty funny. Ethel was there. You had that experience, I believe. Yes.
Well, they had those little banners that you were able to stick on the bottom of your
Yeah, those
badge.
were fun. Yeah.
Maybe we should make one for the next one.
Well, we didn't know they were doing that, but yes, that would be,
Right now, yeah.
But we
For
had
next.
I was an ambassador for the Congress, and we had a follow-up call last week, and we all said, put the organizations back on the badges, because nobody knew who you were with. And it really makes a difference. So, Karen, you had some pictures you wanted to show?
Yes, I gave them to Marina,
Marina,
to show.
you want to put them up?
Unfortunately, a lot of the pictures I took with, different people, I was wearing the shirt, our Twitchy Woman shirt, for most of them.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, we had a blast from the night before. That's Robert Cochran and Jessica Kaplan. She does our At Ease program through the VA. And then that's Mary. She's in one of our Twitchy Women morning groups that we meet every 2 weeks. And of course, Michael Oken, Jimmy Choi, all these, most of these pictures, that's Sharon Comstock behind Jimmy Choi and I. And she's one of our students in the cinema therapy classes. And she and I, this is the second time I've got together with her in person. She came out and helped us film the end of Boys of Summer Third Base. And then she and I got a timeshare for the week. And she's become a dear friend, another dear friend. I actually met her through the Michael J. Fox Buddy Finder. And we've known each other for over a year. And of course, George Ackerman and he and I have connected on social media quite a bit. And I've helped him out with one of his books and that. And he's become a dear friend too. And then that's me and Jess again, Jessica Kaplan. I look at these pictures and, tears come to my eyes because we had so much fun. I was tired as heck by the end. And I've got my cane. That's great. That's the first time I've had to pick up that cane since 2017. And there was a little bit of stigma around that. But at the same time, I had forgotten, because it's a dragon, I had forgotten how much of a conversation piece it was. But this was, thank you. Again, we had so much fun. It was overwhelming, but having our tables side by side the way we did, and there was so much going on, with Yes and X and the premiere of Boys of Summer Third Base, that I could have really got myself overwhelmed and full of anxiety, because there was just so much love and caring from everybody across the board. And Michael Oken, a big part of my story is, Michael Oken's books kind of helped me save my own life when I didn't have good health care. And to finally get that picture with him and person to person like this, we with him on that National Advisory Counselor, we're in good hands. If anybody's going to help us push the article, it's going to be him. It's going to be him. And this awesome team, this is just a small part of the awesome team we got here working towards change, and we're making it happen. I see it.
Great. Marcia, okay, I'm just looking at it. We got a comment, Marcia Colton. They did not put the organizations on the badges this time. Nobody.
Mine
Well,
was
I know
on.
they put
Mine was on there.
Nobody else was.
Huh.
I put my card inside my thing so people would see who I was. But I don't know.
Yeah, Robert put the new Yes and X on mine for me to match his in purple.
But otherwise, it just said that it didn't say. And the other question was, it said what country you were from, didn't say what city you were from. So we've addressed all of that. So, Marcia, if yours said your organization, I'm surprised, because nobody else's did. I don't think I have mine down here. I think it's upstairs.
Yeah, I don't have mine with me, but I was glad I put it on
Oh, you put it on there?
when I registered.
Yeah.
And then that wasn't on your badge. Also, you could look up on the website, everybody.
No, I know, but it's
Yeah,
nice to have it on your badge.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was the complaint. It wasn't on the badge. No, because I got a list ahead of time of everybody who registered, and under Twitchy Woman, so I was able to invite all of them we had a dinner on Monday night for anybody who was available. We had 100 people. We sold out within 4 days
Wow.
because we had another group join us, and between the two groups we sold out, which was amazing. And that was with all the other stuff going on Monday night. Okay, and our last speaker is Marilyn Landau, who was not a grantee, but she came because I twisted her arm. She's my boxing buddy. And
Yes.
ping pong, boxing and ping pong. No, Marilyn, she'll tell you her story and all the things that she was doing there.
I was really skeptical about coming because my thoughts were this is at a level that's way above me. It's too scientific. I don't understand it. It's going to be I knew it was going to be overwhelming before I got there, and it was overwhelming. But everyone was so kind and so patient and so willing to help you with anything you needed and talk about it. It was, just walking around was a whole education. Um, Learning about the new treatments coming out, the new drugs, talking to the reps, meeting other people with PD, because we kind of have our own little silo of people with PD here in LA where we exercise together, we see each other all the time, which is great. Um, but there's a bigger world of PD out there that we just don't see. Um, it was just the most amazing feeling. I'm like so excited to go to the next one. Like someone said, like I wish it was next year because I'm excited to do it again. And I know there's a lot of work that goes into it. There were a lot of people there. I was diagnosed almost 5 years ago. Um, I exercise a lot. I box, so I was glad to see boxing there. I do ping pong. I was glad to see ping pong at the conference. Um, I think I did a lot. I think I did more wellness things than lectures. I went to some of the really early lectures, and they were split sort of between really high level and mid level that I could understand some of it. One of the great takeaways for me is I've been doing clinical trials since I was diagnosed, and I'm involved in a clinical trial for an app that measures your reaction time, your gait, some cognitive stuff through Cedars-Sinai that's out of Oxford. And my husband ran into one of the doctors. He's the chair of the movement disorder department. And he asked if, would your wife be interested in helping out with the poster presentation? And he said, of course she would. And he comes back and he tells me, I said, are you crazy? How can I help him out? He said he wants it from the patient's point of view. He wants to see how the patient reacts to it. And before you know it, I mean, there were people coming over to us. It was more of a one-on-one type of thing. And I was taking them through the whole process. He just sort of turned it over to me and I could do it. I was just so proud of myself that I could do it and that
I didn't know you were doing that. I would have come over.
it was just like all of a sudden thing, it just
Yeah,
happened. And um, it was great. It was a great feeling to be able to do that and be able to help with
yeah.
progress and in this app. It's a great app. Hopefully it will, come out soon. I'm not sure when. But that was a really standout moment for me. And getting to meet some of the influencers that you see um, on the internet all the time. Jimmy Choi, he's such an icon. And Rika, I always get her name wrong, Rika Janisi, and what she's going through now. And there's just so many of them. Sharon, she's doing wonderful things in the community. We're helping. There's a group of us trying to put together a center where all of our resources are together. So that's keep your ears open for that. We want the Kirk, what's his name?
Kirk Gibson Center in Detroit. And
That's our model.
that's I have to tell you, there's a funny story about how I got to them. I was at a table at the closing ceremony, and I was sitting there after everybody was leaving the room, and I don't know why I was still sitting there, but I was. I think I was with my husband was a volunteer. And I turn around, and at the next table, there's a woman wearing a t-shirt that says Kirk Gibson Foundation. So I wasn't shy. I tapped her on the shoulder because her back was to me. I said, "Are you with Kirk Gibson Foundation?" She says, "Yes." She says, "Oh, I want to talk to you." And she said, "Well, these three men here, this one, he's the CEO, and it was like, it was serendipity, it was unbelievable. So within 2 minutes, I had his card, he had my card. We did talk the next week. It was amazing. So you don't know who you're going to run into with these things.
Right.
And
All week that,
all
yeah,
week
Yeah.
it's like that.
love it.
Yeah. So
And,
we went to get lunch on um, the first day we were there on Sunday during the pre-conference. I was in a session, but we went to get something to eat, or coffee, I don't remember what. And we're sitting down, and this woman comes over to me. She says, "Are you Twitchy Woman?" I'm like, "Yeah." She says, "Can I get my picture with you?" So she's a follower. So it was just funny.
Wild,
But it's,
wild.
the minute you walk in the door, it starts until you leave. It was a fun. It's a lot of fun. It's like, I tell people it's like a big party. So anyway, I'm sorry I interrupted, Marilyn.
That's
You have
okay.
pictures to
And
show
there
too.
were a lot of people wearing Twitchy Woman t-shirts. So even if it didn't say it on our badge, you'd see them in the hallways, you get a big high five, say Twitchy Woman. Everybody was so excited because we were part of this inner circle of Twitchy women. And so that was great fun. The whole thing was great fun. I mean, I didn't have any off time. It was just it's managing your medications and all of that because your schedule is not the same, and getting up so early in the morning is a little difficult. I'm sure for some of you as well as for me. Um, but it was definitely an experience I will remember forever, and I would recommend it to anybody. I don't know why I was skeptical, but that's just my own anxieties coming forth. But it was wonderful to meet so many people and be a part of something so big and important.
And you knew quite a few people. Well, you knew the LA people who were there, which
Right.
is great. So here's some pictures that she sent.
Here's Jimmy Choi, and this is Rika Janisi. And this is Dr. Tagliati, my hero with the poster presentations. And this is my husband, who was an important volunteer there.
Yeah. Wait, can I tell them what he did?
Yes, you can. He told me not to say too much about him, so you can, though, Sharon.
Okay. Um, Marilyn's husband, Bob, does stand-up comedy, and he was asked to put together a show for Tuesday night, and we had 22 acts.
Yes, 22 performers.
People had to apply, and they had to be accepted, and so 22 performers. It was about an hour and a half, 2 hour show.
Yeah, closer to 2 hours.
And it was so much fun. The original venue was too small. They had to find a bigger room because they didn't have enough space. And I don't know, there were 400 people there, 500 people.
Yeah, there were a lot of people there.
There
And there
were a
was a
lot of people
dinner
there.
that most people didn't get the dinner because it was gone before
Yeah.
they.
Yeah, but some of the performers were unbelievably good, and some were not so good, but they had Parkinson's. It was okay. And I'm proud to say my husband was one of the performers. And yeah, did a song parody. And if you want to watch it, it's on my website, on my YouTube site. I'm not going to bother you with it today unless we have lots of time. But it was a lot of fun. And he also did the same thing a couple weeks ago for our rabbi who is retiring, and he did a song parody for him. And that time he had a professional band backing him up
Wow.
because the band that was there that night said, "Oh, well, we want to play while you do your song." So he's got a new career. Thank you, Bob. But anyway, let's open it up to questions. We don't have a huge crowd, so if you have a question, just raise your hand, start talking. We'll go for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then I have a poll I want to have everybody look at real quickly. So don't get off because I want to get your opinions. So any questions for our speakers? Nobody?
Nobody?
Comments? Ethel, come on. Okay. Andrea.
Sharon, my husband's here with me and he has a question. So I've got
Okay.
myself off. My screen is showing. I don't know if you can see him too. This is Byron.
Hi.
So by way of background, I'm a physician and have attended national conferences for decades. My question is, and Andrea and I will plan to come to Quebec City. How much of the venue is related to patient support issues, about exercise, about boxing? How much is scientific? I'm just trying to get a flavor for the overall venue. I'm a scientist by background and would be happy to come, but might go to different sessions than Andrea.
Everything is open. Every session is open to everyone.
Okay.
Okay. Patients, doctors, researchers, whatever. If you want to see exactly what was offered, you can go onto the website. I think, Marina, if you can put the link up. If you go on the World Parkinson Congress website, you can look at the program.
Okay.
But it is all it is one of the few conferences that is designed specifically with patients in mind. We are the top of the pyramid. You know, we are the most important ones there. Whether it's support for us, medication, whatever it may be, everything is open to the patients. They have huge plenaries, and then they have roundtable sessions, which are 12 people with one, around talking about a topic with somebody who's leading it, usually a doctor or a patient or somebody else. So there were so many things to go to. You couldn't possibly do it all. And I'm sure.
But I heard several people say the science was probably a little over their head.
Well,
And that's
one thing,
a problem with physicians. Sometimes they talk over people's heads.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of
Yeah.
interested in
Well-
the nature of the science.
well, one
If
thing
I
they
could-
do on the program, if you look at the program, the sessions are coded as to how scientific they are. There's a little
Okay, that's
indicator.
great.
So you can see how because I know they do try to balance science with lay people. So there's something for everybody.
There's also
So-
a lot of wellness sessions. They had ping pong. They had all kinds of demonstrations. They had ping pong. They had rock steady boxing, and they had a massage room, and they had this thing
Oh,
and
that
that thing. Just
massage
all
room.
kinds of stuff going on.
Sounds amazing.
Well, thank you. That's very helpful.
To just add, Byron, that there were a lot that were really scientific, which were, researchers and doctors and various researchers presenting their papers that were really at a very high scientific level. But there were some, like the exercise panel, which was a combination of talking about the research, like for the Spark study and such, showing the connection between exercise and its impact on symptoms. But then they had Jimmy Choi on the panel talking about what he does personally and his routine and everything, which was a really nice mix. So you got a combination. And to your point, one of the nice things about the poster session, and again, it was happenstance that I ran into Dr. Tagliati, but it also showed me, and I think showed him, because he was doing a poster session, which is in progress research that you give an overview to. But the doctors ultimately was like, okay, we get it. There's an app that tracks symptoms. Okay, now we want to hear from a patient. That was to them the most valuable part, was understanding, well, how hard is it to use it? And do you use it? And what's the value that you see as a patient? And I think the lesson there was they would do well to include more of that. That would make the sessions valuable to both the scientific community as well as to the patient community and to the care partner community, because some of them, I was the lead in the plenary sessions in the big rooms, and some of it I was like, okay, unless you're a doctor or a researcher, no patient is getting anything of takeaway value from here, because it's all such a high thing. And, what this thing they found of this genetic model and this thing, but the ones where they could combine it and talk about both, I think actually had the most value, because you could see how the science could impact you as a patient or a care partner of what the implication was. And that was my big comment in my feedback form, was that's the combination that I think would make the whole conference that much more valuable for everyone.
Yeah.
But at the risk of dominating, I'm a diabetologist, so I've learned a lot from patients as well. But I think from the physicians and the scientists there, hopefully they take away something that they can then bring back to, the clinic and back to their offices, even if the participants there don't understand. My hope is that the people with Parkinson's that they see in their offices will be able to translate that into something useful. But
Absolutely.
I like the concept of the mix.
And I just want to add that, as what Sharon didn't mention was we had this fundraiser back in, I think it was November, to raise money for the scholarships. So hearing from, you, Jennifer, and from Karen about how impactful it was, I can't tell you how much it makes me feel good.
He's
That
crying.
Yeah, honestly,
that the effort was clearly worth it. Because putting a show together, Sharon asked me to help organize this. And I said to her, I can get a lot of good talent, some of whom were people with Parkinson's, some comics with Parkinson's, and others were friends that I know from the stand-up and storytelling community who were happy to lend their support. I said, the talent isn't the issue. Get people to come and pay money. That's always the hard part. I have a show I'm doing, in fact, later today, that's raising money for Big Brothers Big Sisters of LA. And the thing we stress over is the marketing, is getting people to come out, pay money to support the charity. So makes me feel really good that I know that there was a real value there, that people really appreciated it. So thanks.
Thank you. Sorry, I
Not
had to
to,
go off for a minute.
sorry, not to over, okay, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Not to overemphasize the point, but when I filled out the application, it was quite a process. That grant application was no joke, and it took me a while, and I really wanted to put a lot of thought into it. I didn't want to just, throw whatever out. So by the time I was done with it, I was done with it, and I totally did not expect anything to come of it. You apply and you know that there's a lot of people applying, and who knows. But when I got the confirmation that I did get the grant, I don't want to cry, but I'm 10 years in. I'm 10 years into diagnosis and 30 years into sickness. I started symptoms when I was 20 years old, and nobody in my family has it. I'm the only female in my gym. I'm the only female in my support group. And it's although I know that they're there and I have you guys, from the neck up, I would have never gone. I've never been to any conferences or any symposiums or anything like this. Being surrounded by this disease and being surrounded by my future is not really where it's at. I try to just maintain what I can do. And to see my future is a little, daunting at times, but I've never been in an experience like this. And I kind of avoided it. And I'm like, okay, well, 10 years in. So when I got the confirmation that I did get the grant, it was like serendipity. I was just like, okay, well, that's a big part of it, but I need to worry about airfare, and I need to worry about where I'm going to stay and food, and I just started talking to people about how I actually wanted to go, and everything just after I made the decision that I did want to go and I did want to take this opportunity, everything just kind of came together, and I would have never worked on it without that grant. I would have never even considered going all the way to Arizona on my own without the encouragement of that grant. So it really
I
changed
understand
me.
everything you're saying so much. I'm 10 years in too. And same thing. There's no way. And yeah, a lot of people said, we're going to get you there, Karen. And I've been promised things by not this group, but by other people before, and not even now. Until it was real, it wasn't real. And I'm just so grateful. And connection is the best medicine. And it sounds like you and I both experienced that the same way. The more connections we made there, the better we felt. I didn't have any off times either, the whole time I was there, other than, the damn knee. But really, the connection is medicine goes, there's so many facets to that. I mean, the healthcare providers need to connect with us so they know what they're fighting. And knowing that they're open-minded, just by them being there. But I think they did have some of those discussions that were just the healthcare professionals too, because there was, we were in that table outside the main hall, and there was times that they would only let certain people into that main hall. So I think there's don't think every single one was open to the general public. You had to be.
They were supposed to be. Who knows?
It wasn't, because I couldn't even get in there to go to the bathroom a couple of times, and I had to kind of say, "Hey, I'm walking with a cane. Don't make me go down the hall," and they let me in. But yeah. There was certain things that were just for the healthcare providers.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, again, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. It was our pleasure. And this all came about for 3 years before, when we were going to Barcelona. I received a donation from somebody who wanted to do something for women with Parkinson's. And this is what we decided was the best use of her money, was to get people to go and go home and pay it forward, do something in their community, which almost everybody that I've talked to is doing in some way or another. And but you both said something, you know, I was afraid to see my future. I am 17 years since I was diagnosed. Okay. Now I'm gonna just give you an anecdote. The first Parkinson's Congress I went to was in Portland in 2015, 16. And I went there with two friends from LA. We were all fairly, you know, it's 2, 3 years in. We had no idea what to expect, but we hung out together and we got there and our future wasn't so bad when you started looking around. Am I right? It wasn't so scary. But the best part was the keynote speaker at the opening, who passed away, unfortunately, had a heart attack about a month after, was from Great Britain, and he was well known because he walked around the entire island to raise money for Parkinson's. But he got up and he made a statement, and he says that they tell us the cure is 5 years away. And if you go back in 5 years, it's still 5 years away. So we're never going to get there. It's always 5 years. So now when people ask me, I tell them, well, it's a moving target and maybe we're at 4.5 years. We're not there yet. So, and the other comment, this is going back to what Bob was saying, or Marilyn was saying about the posters, or no, the doctor was saying, the posters, there's one section that is all people with Parkinson's who submit the posters. They don't have to be scientific. Last year, I submitted 2, and one of our posters ended up on a poster tour. And that was on our mentoring program, which we've had to put on hold because everybody else is copying us because we were the first and the best. But we had, I think, 15 of our women there who were involved in the mentor program, and I let them speak. And it was great. For those, and some of you were there, Ethel was there, I don't remember who else was there, but it was, and that people were crowding around because they wanted to hear from the patients. It was so, but a certain amount of the posters are patient-centered, all different topics, anything you want, you know, and it's great. It's great to be part of it all. Okay, Marcia Colton, your turn.
This was my first WPC also. I thought it was amazing. I really appreciate the fact that anybody involved in Parkinson's from any perspective, professionals, providers, people with Parkinson's, researchers, all participated, and we could attend their sessions and talk to them. I am always amazed at the people who work to help cure Parkinson's or help build new drugs, that a lot of them don't even know anyone with Parkinson's. And they are so grateful to know us. I'm on a community advisory board for Michael J. Fox, and I was at the annual investigator conference. And there weren't a lot of people with Parkinson's, but we went around the room, 400 people, and everybody introduced themselves. And every time a person with Parkinson introduced themselves, everybody applauded. And I felt I had an experience at one of the round tables at WPC that the guy who was running it had never been to a WPC, so obviously had never done a round table. And at the wrap-up session, they read his comments that how impressed he was and how much he learned from the people around his table. So the only negative thing about the whole thing was every once in a while I had to go outside and defrost because it was so cold in there. I brought a jacket, but it wasn't warm enough.
And it was so hot outside.
So you could defrost quickly.
Yeah. Yep. So, okay. Melanie, your hand's up.
Hi. So this was my first time also going to one of these. I was really sad when I heard that there was one in Barcelona and I had just missed it. And then I was like, okay, I'm definitely going to the next one. And the defrosting part, I gotta tell you, that to me was like such an obvious thing that they could have mitigated, that like you don't put hundreds and hundreds of people who are shaking into like a freezer. Um, And the other thing, I mean, it was incredible to see all the energy behind everything, and a lot of the I spent most of my time in that room where all the dance stuff was happening because that's my jam, that's my thing, and also improv is my jam, so I'm glad that that was there. Yeah. And the thing that was really missing for me was some kind of buddy system or some sort of like, I'm thrilled that I ended up meeting you, Sharon, that I ended up, finding this group by being there. But I feel like there needs to be some kind of very specific buddy system type of system, because I was the first 2 days so depressed and so
I'm surprised
shaky.
there was a buddy system. I'm surprised you didn't see it. It was
Somehow it
available.
didn't, yeah, somehow it did not register for me, and I don't know where. Like, if something is available like that, it needs to be loud and clear
Yeah.
and everywhere,
Yep.
and it needs to be obvious, because it
Mhm.
was not to me. I actually, the third day I was there, went in crying and was like, walked up to whatever that is that you first go in to sign in, and
Registration.
said,
Yeah.
"Is there?" and asked and pleaded and was like, "I need to talk to somebody because I'm here by myself. I don't know anybody here, and I'm freaking out, because I'm 4 years
Um,
in, and 4 years in, and looking at, as you say, so perfectly, your future is
yeah.
not fun." And it's certainly not fun in a freezing cold room where you don't know anybody. And uh, the other thing that really just blew my mind, how can you do this, is to have so much advertising happening specifically around this seemed to be a focus specifically around the repeated fact or factoid or finding that 50% of people with Parkinson's will get dementia. I am sorry. Do not tell me that. Do not repeatedly tell me that. Do not keep repeating that as if it's something that I should be focusing on, because it's the last thing I want to be focusing on. And just, I'm not going to be going back to the conference again. The fact that it happens every 3 years makes it unattainable for me. The fact that it's that expensive to go and stay in a hotel, that also makes it unattainable for me. I don't have a caregiver to bring me to these things, so who knows what 3 years from now is going to be. Um, but yeah, there are just these few, like, what to me were obvious things. Um, oof, that just blew my mind. It just blew my mind. How
Yeah.
can you do that to us? How can we do that to us?
Well,
Oh,
I
I'm
will
so
tell
sad that
you,
you had that experience. Oh,
Yeah,
that
me too.
stinks.
Me too. Thank
yeah,
you.
I'm sorry to hear that. I
Can I
was in
give you
on a
just
lot of the planning,
something on the
and
flip
it's,
side of this?
Hmm?
The flip side of this for me, and I totally appreciate what you're saying, and a lot of the communication stuff was a big part of my feedback on the forum, was that you're right. I said, you've got all this stuff in the app, but people didn't know necessarily how to use it. And I spent a lot of my time as a volunteer showing people, oh, you can find this here and do this here, and this is where the room is. And
Hmm.
but the big thing for me was after the show, I thought it was just going to be like, hey, we're going to do a talent show. I had no idea that so many of the performers were professionals who had
Oh,
Parkinson's. Okay, nobody
mm,
explained that to me up front.
yeah,
And
Petri was
so
one, yeah.
we put all these folks together. Now, I've done a lot of shows, and people come up and say, oh, you were funny, or that was a good show, or whatever. I've
Mhm.
never had an experience like this. And Marilyn can tell you, I got feedback. I was in tears for days because I had performers come up to me afterwards and say, I was a professional singer. And I thought once I got diagnosed, well, my voice isn't as strong, I can't do it. But then you gave me the chance to get on stage, and I saw that I can still perform. I can still do it. How much it meant to them to be able to get up, even though they have Parkinson's, even though they may have some dyskinesia, whatever it was. But boy, they could still perform. The vice president from Amniel, who sponsored the event, came up to me afterwards. I met this woman a half hour before the event, came up to me afterwards and hugged me and said, that was the highlight of my professional career. That was so much better than anything we thought we were going to get when we agreed to pay for this. And that to me was like, made all the time and effort and work so worth it. And now, in fact, we're doing an event for the Parkinson's Foundation at the end of September that they asked me to do, another fundraising event. And two of the comics who performed, I reached out to them and said, if there's any chance you're going to be in LA, I put you in the show. They're both coming. They're both flying in, one from Philadelphia and one from Cleveland. Specifically, they were going to come to California to visit, but they're going to come then so they can be in the show and perform again. And are just like beyond thankful that they get a chance to do it. So for folks, it was sort of validation that Parkinson's doesn't have to be, the end. Like it's just something else you have to deal with, as a performer in this case. Not negating anything that you said. I appreciate what you said.
No, I actually, it's interesting because I actually got to perform myself, and it's not the kind of performance I would have done when I was a performer. But I was part of the drumming at the end, and it was wonderful to be on stage. But then I also realized within a few minutes of the beginning of it that my tremors were just going berserk, even though I had taken my meds. So, that was also kind of a slight disappointment. It was like, oh, I got on stage. Oh no, that was not good. So again, it would have been just the perfect thing would have been to assign everybody a buddy so that they knew exactly who that person was and that they met beforehand or they talked beforehand or something, because getting there, or just like even when you sign in and you get your little tag and all of that stuff, you get a buddy or somebody to talk to, because it just,
Great idea.
I've been
Sorry
to
you had that
other,
experience.
yeah, I mean, yeah,
I'm going to move on because we have like 5 minutes left.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I want to thank everybody. Well, you have a quick comment, Wendy?
I have a quick question.
Yes.
I wondered, number one, how people felt about the pharmaceutical reps there. And I also wonder if the rumor I've been reading about is true that Michael J. Fox got nominated for an Emmy for a guest appearance in Shrinking. That's it.
Okay. I'm going to put that on this questions on hold because I have a poll I want to do real quick. And let me see if I can. Now I got to find it. Marina, do you see it anywhere? It should be. Did I do it through Zoom? Shoot.
I don't see anything in the link or in the slides.
Where did I do it? I did a poll. Hold on. It was through Zoom. Oh shoot. Now it's gonna be hanging questions somewhere.
Or
Well,
if
you're
you
getting
want,
it. Yes, he did get nominated for Shrinking.
Yeah, he did. I don't know where my poll went. This is terrible. Yeah, I tried to do these things and oh wait, maybe it's under more. Okay, it disappeared. I don't know where it is.
if you want, I know you have 2 more slides to go through about the coming events. I can put
Okay.
that up first.
Maybe, yeah, it might be there. I don't remember.
I met a handful of the pharmaceutical reps, and they weren't they were just regular people like everybody else. Nobody was really pushy. Everybody was willing to answer questions. And unless you asked, it wasn't like they were trying to round us up or push anything. They were just trying to keep everybody informed. That was my take on the reps.
I like the pharmaceutical reps there because I got to ask questions about my meds to the people other than my doctor.
Yeah, same here. I walked around talking to a few of the reps. A lot of it is not applicable to me at this time, but it was nice to just connect to people who are familiar with the disease but don't know life with, they're still on the outside, but it was nice that how invested they were in all of our conversations.
All right, well, I have no idea where I put this thing, so I'm going to finish up the slides and then we'll just open it up to more questions if you have them. I'll keep looking. So thank you, first of all, to Karen and Jennifer and Marilyn for sharing your experiences and everybody else who chimed in. I'm so glad we were able to bring the 20 women, the 20 people who we were able to give scholarships to. It really made a difference, I think, for a lot of them. And don't be afraid of the future. And I think that's really one of the main things that they do get it. That's one of the big messages that takeaways is that we can live well with Parkinson's for a long time. Everybody is different. Nobody knows what the outcome is going to be. We're all going to progress at a different rate. But if you look at me, I've been here for 17 years doing this, and some of you are newly diagnosed, and we're all in, pretty good shape. Although I did do a promo for something that I was taped for a promo for Parkinson's Across America because I'm in the last segment of their documentary. And when I looked at it, I was like all doing this the whole time and was like, oh my God, I didn't realize how dyskinetic I was. It was terrible. But after all this time, I can't complain. When I was diagnosed in 2009, nobody thought that somebody in 2000 who had been diagnosed then would be still walking and talking and doing everything 17 years later. We were all told, you got 5 good years and then it goes downhill.
Yep.
Not anymore. So people are amazed when they find out that I have Parkinson's until I tell them, well, you don't see what's going on with my foot under the table. So
exactly.
Doing right now. So I'm sorry the poll didn't work. I just don't know. Maybe it's under host tools. Let me see. Well, I don't know where it went. And that really makes me crazy. This is the stuff that makes me nuts. But anyway, I'll ask you a couple questions.
You could just ask us without.
I'm going to ask you some of the questions. First of all, how many of you were there for the first time? And if everybody can, a lot of you don't have your pictures up, so I can't see you. But so how many first timers? Just raise your hand. Okay, great. A lot of you. Did you learn anything today that makes you interested in going to the one in Quebec in 3 years? How many of you okay, let me word it differently. How many of you, who was interested in going to Quebec in 3 years? A lot of you, yes. Okay. If you were going for the first time, would you want a scholarship? How important would it be for you to get a scholarship?
Very.
Okay, but those of you who responded already went for the first time, so you don't qualify again.
Man.
People have done Facebook fundraisers, GoFundMe, whatever, to fund them, but it's one time deal. That's all we can do. It's only so much money that we get, and I think we raised more money than anybody else for scholarships.
Good.
For the travel funds, which was pretty amazing. In fact, this was funny. Malu Tanzi, or whatever her name is, who's the new president of the World Parkinson's Congress, was talking about the donors. She had the list of the donors up, and she said, Twitchy Woman, she's, oh, I like her stuff. So
you're so famous. She said that
about. So, and I kind of half heard it, and I'm like, wait, what did she just say? So, anyway,